and 2 TDs. That was pretty awesome. Plus, Jared Patterson had 90 yards rushing, 2 TDs. And, yeah, they just took care of business. It was good. I was kind of pissed off in the beginning of the game. Like, got it. Buffalo, I gave that out to everybody. We took that twice, actually. Arkansas took care of Tulsa, 23-zip. There's your SEC defense that you all look for. Auburn took care of business at Ole Miss. Ole Miss, the fraud. Trying to make us think they're good when they beat Texas Tech that first game at Texas Tech. Frauds. What else do we have? Duke versus Virginia. Dropped it. Virginia. Daniel Jones for Duke. 240 yards. Virginia. Bryce Perkins. 189 yards, 1 TD. But Virginia won it on the ground. 178 total rushing yards. Duke only had 58. Playing from behind, they were forced to throw the ball, and that's why Daniel Jones had 2 picks. That's what the game was, really. But as far as yardage, it looks pretty... It almost looks like Duke had more yards, 320 yards to... Sorry, they didn't have more yards. Virginia did. They had more like 378. But still, should have been a little bit closer. All right. That's all I got for that. Let's move into my Big Ten power ratings. So Ohio State, losing Purdue, but I only took them down from 25.5 to 25. You're allowed a bad game. Ohio State's still the best in the Big Ten. But not far behind them, I have Michigan, the Wolverines, at 22. I upgrade them from 19.5 points better than the average team to 22 points better than the average team. Yeah, I was wrong about Michigan.
Wrong.
But that's why I have this game as a pick 'em at Michigan, because it's about a 3-point difference between them and Ohio State. I cannot wait to see that game. Penn State, down from 19 to 18. Their defense is just not good enough, man. And their offense isn't quite what it used to be. It could be the Saquon thing. It could be losing Hamilton. A couple linemen. Tight end. They lost a big tight end. I forgot his name last year, but they did. They're still probably a little better than the Badgers, though. At 5, I have Iowa. At 4, I have Iowa better than Wisconsin. Iowa's at 14.5. I upgraded them. They're destroying people. They probably shouldn't have lost that game at home to Wisconsin. But they're more put together. They're more careful with the ball. They don't throw picks like Wisconsin seems to do. They don't fumble. They're a better team than Wisconsin, I believe, right now. Wisconsin is a 14 at number 5, and I didn't change them. I mean, they played Illinois. Didn't look like anything new, really, to me. Still looks like the same issues. Michigan State, I downgraded them a half point to 13. Just because their offense is so bad, their defense is still very good. Purdue, I upgraded from 5.5 back to 8. I'm pissed at Purdue. Where was this Purdue team when I came in high on them in the beginning of the season? Where was this team? Because I had them at 8 or 9 points then. And then they lose to frickin' Northwestern. And then they lost their next game to what? Eastern Michigan? It was just, and then you're like, what the hell? And then the team that you thought they were finally comes up and does what they are supposed to do.
But they are who we thought they were.
Yeah, I guess so. Pricks. Anyways, Maryland is next at 7. Downgraded them from an 8 to a 7. Maryland, when they can beat up the little teams, but when they play some guys with some big lines, then they're just outclassed, out-toughed, out-trenched. So you should say out-trenched, done in the trenches. Northwestern, 6.5 to a 5.5. God, almost losing at Rutgers. Are you kidding me? I'm okay, Northwest Wildcat fans. I'm going to say this. You guys were looking ahead to your Wisconsin game at home. All right? That's what you were doing. because there is no way in hell you can only beat Rutgers by less than a touchdown.
Hell no, to the no.
All right. Nebraska, next at 5 points above the average team. They got their win finally against the Gophers. And they have a lot of trick plays in their bag, and they used them up. And I'll tell you right now, I upgraded them from a 4 to a 5, but this next spot should be let down city if it wasn't against freaking Bethune-Cookman. Minnesota, 4.5. I didn't really change them. They were supposed to, lose to Nebraska anyway. And, there's no stopping that Nebraska train yet last week. I still think they're about a 4.5 above the average team. Indiana, 3.5, up from a 3. Slight improvement. Illinois, from a -7.5 to a -8. And I don't know how Lovie Smith still has a job. I think I might have complained and said this before, but when he was on the Bears, they went to the Super Bowl in spite of him. There's really nothing he did, but there's not many fans that see that. Nobody sees that. I do, but nobody sees that. But I thought it was just the great leadership of the Bears. And Rutgers is still at -13. I don't care if they almost covered against Northwestern. They suck. They're terrible. All right, let's move on. More importantly for you guys, I like to talk about the spots. And right now we have to get into letdown spots. Clemson at Florida State is a letdown spot because Clemson took care of NC State, their only threat. Now they're going to go to Florida State, probably thinking in the back of their minds how bad Florida State has been. But it's a letdown spot. I'd have to look at the spread. I don't, anything over 20 is probably going to tell you that you might want to lean to Florida State here. We'll take a look at my power rankings and everything when the lines come out today. Purdue at Michigan State. Definite letdown spot for Purdue. Huge letdown spot and get up spot for Michigan State. Now, Purdue has improved a ton, so be careful with this one. You got to handicap more than just spots. It's just something always you got to downgrade and upgrade a little bit for. Wazoo, Washington State at Stanford. Okay, so huge game for Wazoo, emotional. Stanford just beat Arizona State. They're kind of playing with their whip on their back a little bit. Stanford has no running game this year. We'll see where this line comes out either, but I don't think Wazoo should be favored by much over this Stanford team at all. Okay, especially at Stanford. This is a legitimate letdown spot for Washington State. Utah at UCLA. Utah beat USC at home. It was a night game. Woo! Well, I'll tell you this. Utah is great at home, but they're not so great on the road. Nebraska, like I said, versus Bethune-Cookman. I think Sagarin's got them at the 220th worst team or best team, whatever, in the NCAA rankings out of FCS and FBS and whatnot. I don't think I'm gonna fade Nebraska here, but the over is like 8-0 or something. How many games they play? I have to take a look here, but the over is undefeated with Nebraska right now. So if I can find the line, I'm taking the over blindly. So LSU's on bye. Get up spots. West Virginia hosting Baylor. Yeah, they lost at Iowa State. They are going to want to destroy Baylor. Georgia versus Florida. Georgia lost to LSU, has a bye week. Florida had their bye week. Florida comes off a win. See if Georgia can fix things. Mississippi State versus Texas A&M. I mean, it's got to be a get-up spot for them, right? Texas A&M off the bye. Oregon at Arizona. I might blindly bet Oregon in this game. Colorado at Oregon State. Poor Oregon State. Poor Oregon State, man. All right, look ahead spots. Like I said, LSU and also Michigan and Bama are all on buys because you have that huge LSU-Bama game the following week. Okay, so unfortunately we can't fade any of them on a letdown. It's not like Bama would have a letdown after Tennessee anyway. West Virginia looking past Baylor to Texas? No, that's not a look-ahead spot because they just lost. Penn State looking past Iowa to Michigan? Abso-freaking-lutely. Yeah, absolutely. I know Penn State lost a couple weeks ago, but Michigan is what they are probably going to try to prepare a little bit more for. I don't know. This is all about James Franklin, and I am not that impressed. Stanford looking past Washington State to Washington? No. Stanford's lost a few games. They need to beat Washington State here, not think to Washington, because Washington State's already, a very legit contender, one loss. Nebraska looking past Bethune-Cookman to Ohio State? Probably, but that doesn't mean Bethune-Cookman can do anything. So Nebraska would be in a sandwich spot here. It's just too bad the freaking team they're playing is so bad. All right. Texas looking past at Oklahoma State to West Virginia. Highly possible here. Highly possible look-ahead spot. Texas Tech could be looking past at Iowa State to Oklahoma. They shouldn't be, but they could be. So I'm going to look at Iowa State's line when this comes out. That's all I have. If you have anything that I'm missing for a letdown spot, look ahead spot, get up spot, whatnot, please tweet us at The Odds Breakers. Now let's move into some fantasy football with DNasty. All right, we have fantasy football week 8 with DNasty. What's happening, Dave?
Not much. What's up, fantasy land?
Man, what a crazy Giants game we just saw versus Atlanta. Everything came to the last second. The spread was +4, +4.5-ish. And then the Giants come back and score that double garbage touchdown to lose by 3 is what I'm trying to say. And I had Odell Beckham in your fantasy league. It brought me from negative a half point about to lose to winning by about 6 points. So I was pretty happy about that.
That's awesome. I was sweating out. I was in your league. I had Odell. I was playing against him, and I only won by like 5 points. Odell almost came back and beat me in that league too.
Oh my God! I can't believe how much that last touchdown meant for people. Teasers were up to like +10, +10.5. They're down by 11. It was just a crazy finish for fantasy football there. So that was awesome. Let's get into week 8, my man. Looks like we have some bye weeks. Want to quick cover those?
I'd love to. So buys this week, we have the Falcons. So if you have Tevin Coleman or Matt Ryan or Julio or Calvin Ridley, who actually had a pretty good game tonight. He had 5 catches tonight. You want to get them on your bench. Cowboys, Zeke or Dak Prescott. You want to get them on your bench. Chargers, Melvin Gordon or Phillip Rivers. The Titans, hopefully you're not starting anyone on the Titans at all with their running back committee they have there with Lewis and Henry, who haven't done anything this year, who have underachieved. But Mariota, if you're starting him in any of the leagues by chance, hopefully you're not that desperate. But Mariota for the Titans. Also, I wanted to go over one big trade that happened today too. Amari Cooper to the Dallas Cowboys. So he will actually be on bye this week as well. There'll be 2 weeks in a row that Cooper will be on bye because the Raiders had a bye last week and Cowboys have a bye this week. So Cooper, if you have him, he will not be playing again. So that will be 2 straight bye weeks for him due to the trade. They just traded for him for a first-round pick today. So if you weren't aware of that, Cooper will be on your bench again this week because he was traded to the Cowboys.
That was interesting, that trade. It's not going to hurt Amari's status to have 2 bye weeks this year. I mean, stats, because he only had like 280 passing yards so far. after 7-8 games. So it's or 6 or 7 games. It's very